We all struggle to achieve our goals sometimes. In 2014, a study was conducted looking into the reasons for people not achieving their goals. 41% said that it was due to the goals being too unrealistic and too unsustainable. 10% of people said that it was due to setting too many goals for themselves. Setting good goals for ourselves is crucial to achieving them. So today, I will share a fantastic goal setting tool with you to make sure that you achieve the next goals you set. I'm Camilla, I'm a psychologist, and I'm on a mission to spread better mental health awareness and more mental well-being to more people. As a psychologist, I often see my clients struggle with frustration and self-blame when they don't achieve their goals. But it's really important to note that not achieving our goals usually has nothing to do with a lack of effort, but rather how the goal has been set and structured in the first place. So really, our goals can be doomed from the beginning if we're not mindful of how we set and how we structure them. If we've previously experienced failing at achieving the goals we've set for ourselves, we might be tempted to think, we might as well not set the goals to begin with. But generally speaking, people who do not set goals are typically not as successful as they hope to be. Setting goals is essential to reaching our long-term dreams and ambitions. However, it's crucial that we change and improve incrementally, step by step, and we can ensure this through good goal setting. One of my favorite things to remind my clients, regardless of what kind of mental health journey they're on, is that if we take small steps in the direction that we want to move in, we'll get there in the end. If we take no steps, we're not moving. So in this video, we're going to talk about one of the most well-known methods to setting goals that are both manageable and achievable, the SMART method. SMART is an acronym that helps us through both the goal setting and completion phases. We'll go through each of the important steps one by one. Make sure you watch to the end, as I have 2 bonus steps for you to make sure that you succeed in reaching your goals. S stands for specific. A goal should be clear and specific so it's easy to understand and work towards. The American psychologist Edwin Locke carried out studies in the 60s which showed us that the more specific a goal is, the harder people will work to achieve it. If a goal is vague, it'll be more difficult to keep focus on it, and you'll also struggle to know when you've actually reached your goal. If this first step of the SMART process is not done well, it'll be really difficult to do the following steps. If that's the case, try going back to this step and making your goal more specific, and then try and do the other steps again. An example of this could be one of the most popular goals that I see. I want to get healthier. But what determines healthy for you? What does that mean? It's not very specific, and therefore it's both very difficult to work towards, and it's also very difficult to track your progress on. A better version of this goal would be, I want to lose weight. Now that's a bit more specific, but still a bit vague. A specific goal for this example would be, I want to lose 5 pounds. Do you see the difference? As you'll see as we cover the next steps, having a sufficiently specific goal will make the rest of the steps so much easier to complete. M stands for measurable. A goal should always be measurable so you can track your progress and so that you know when you've achieved your goal. Tracking our progress is really important to staying motivated. Assessing our progress helps us to stay focused, meet our deadlines, and gives us that sense of excitement as we can see that we're moving closer to achieving our goal. You'll see that this step is really easy to complete if you completed the first step as thoroughly as we did. In our example from before, we already know that we want to lose 5 pounds, which is measurable. So in this case, we're using a metric to set our goal and to track our progress. Now, if you haven't already got a measurable quantity in your first step, then this is where you bring it in. A goal can either be measured by a simple yes or no, if it's something you want to achieve, or it can be measured by a metric, which is what we did in our weight loss example. A stands for actionable. This is where we break our goals into actions. How do we get there? If this step is difficult to complete, or you're seeing that there are too many actions required to get to your goal, try breaking your goal down into smaller sub-goals. We need goals, but we don't want the weight of the goals to crush us. It's really good to aim high in our overall ambitions and goals, but it's crucial to achieving those bigger goals that we're able to break them down into smaller sub-goals that are actionable and achievable. It's also really important to ask yourself if the goal you've set is actually something that's within your control to achieve. An example from my own life right now could be setting a goal of I want to reach 1,000 YouTube subscribers by the end of this year. Now, there are a lot of different factors and parameters that play into achieving that goal that are simply out of my control. However, something that is actionable and working towards that same goal would be to set a goal for myself to upload at least one video to YouTube that provides value for my viewers every week. That way I'm focusing on something that's within my control. And even if I don't reach 1,000 subscribers within my first year on YouTube, that's never been the goal in the first place. The goal is to put in as much effort as I can, considering my circumstances. R stands for relevant. A goal should be relevant to your overall values and goals in life. And like I did in that last example, it's really important to consider your current circumstances when setting a goal. Ask yourself, is this the right time for this particular goal? For example, if you're a parent of young children, it might not be realistic that you get to go to the gym for 2 hours, 5 days a week. So how can this goal be adjusted to your current circumstances? It's also really important to be careful of who we compare ourselves to. We have to take our different circumstances and our different starting points into consideration. Now, we saw in the introduction to this video that many of us have a tendency to set too many goals at the same time. So we also need to make sure that we're prioritizing the goal that's most important to us, most relevant to us at any given time. A way of doing this can be by looking at the balance between the effort required and the value gained. Sometimes it can be worth aiming for the low-hanging fruits first, so we get that experience of actually achieving our goals. This can help us gain momentum that will then help us move towards those bigger goals that might require more effort. T stands for time-bound. A goal should always have a specific timeline for completion. We set a deadline to give us a sense of urgency and to help us keep working towards achieving the goal. So in our example from earlier, where our goal was to lose 5 pounds, we could now add a deadline, so our goal would become lose 5 pounds in 5 weeks. This allows us to break the goal down even further and make it even more manageable and trackable. We now know that we need to lose 1 pound per week on average to reach our goal. This means that we can monitor our progress along the way and dial up our efforts if we see that we're falling behind our plan. We should always beware of open-ended goals, as the lack of urgency and focus will often lead us to not achieving those goals at all. I promised you 2 bonus steps at the end, so let's dive into them now. If we add an ER to our acronym, we get smarter. Adding these 2 last steps will increase our likelihood of achieving our goals. The E stands for evaluate. Now, we already talked about the value of tracking our progress when we're working towards a goal. By actually including this as a structured step in your goal setting, you increase the benefits of that. I suggest reading your goals with all the SMART steps every week to keep your focus and your motivation going. In addition to this, I recommend actively evaluating your progress at least once a month and assessing whether any changes are needed in how you work towards your goal. The frequency of this obviously depends on the timeline for your goal. If your goal only runs over 5 weeks, like in our weight loss example, then you might want to evaluate your progress once a week. And you might want to read through the goal with the SMART steps every day. The R in our bonus step stands for reward. I often see in my work as psychologist that having a tangible reward for reaching our milestone can be a great motivator to keep us on track. Granting ourselves rewards helps us celebrate as we achieve milestones. It can also be helpful to remind ourselves of the why behind setting our goal in the first place. For example, if your goal is to lose weight, then a reward might be that you get to buy yourself a new item of clothing every month that fits your new body shape. I've also seen people who have quit smoking allow themselves to spend some of the money that they would have spent on cigarettes on buying something that they want for themselves. That might be an experience or something else that they enjoy. This serves both as a celebration of achieving a milestone and as a reminder of what you can gain by saving that money. So next time you want to set a goal or you struggle to achieve a goal that you've already set, keep in mind the word SMART and follow these steps to setting and achieving your goals. It's really important to note that goal setting is not a single event, but rather an ongoing process of actions, evaluations, and revisions. Goals have to be dynamic because life is dynamic. Our circumstances may change, and therefore we may have to revise our goals. Goals that are relevant for us today may not be tomorrow. However, by following the principles that I've introduced to you in this video, you can increase the likelihood of you achieving your goals. And even if you don't achieve your goal in its original form, Take the time to evaluate and learn from it and understand why you didn't succeed at achieving your goal. Use that information to adjust your goal and try again. I would like to share a really powerful C.S. Lewis quote with you before we end. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. Now, I've created a worksheet for you that's ready for you to print it out and start working on your next goal using the SMART technique. It's free and there's a link in the description where you can enter your details and I'll make sure to send it to you. If you didn't watch my video from last week where we covered the psychological effects of setting and achieving goals, be sure to check that out next. And if you've taken any value from this video, please subscribe for more psychology content and give this video a like. I hope to see you next week for another video. Bye for now.